Hey everybody, welcome back to my second video of quarantine content. If you saw my first video, you might remember it was very tech focused. But today we're going to talk about something a little bit different, and that's photography. Now the inspiration here is a video posted by one of my favorite photographers who I've had the opportunity to follow for quite a while and visit on one of his workshops, and that's Simon Baxter. Simon posted a video about the story behind the photo. And the idea is, while we're sitting here indoors, not out taking photos, not out on those amazing trips, to think about those amazing experiences that we've had and what they mean for us both in that experience and for us personally. The hashtag for that is the trees still grow. And if you want to share a similar story, maybe even not photography related, but related to those experiences that you've had, I encourage you to go look through that content and reflect on those experiences for yourself and see how you could contribute to this little movement we've got going on here. The photo that I've chosen to talk about is one of my favorite photos I've taken, of course. It's actually now the new banner photo on my website, and I really should get it printed, but unfortunately I don't have one to show off right here. I really love this photo because it shows the beauty and the calm that you can have every single morning in Hawaii. It looks out over the Pacific on a couple of the smaller islands and the morning light falling on those islands. I really enjoy those pastel colors in the photo. I really enjoy seeing the islands come to life as that early morning light hits the islands. Now, one of the things that's ironic, and the reason I bring up this photo, is because I love that sense of calm. I think for those of us who have been doing landscape photography, one of the toughest things is to find those simple and those clean images that show the color and show the light without putting too much into it. In fact, I think a simple and clean photo is one of the best traits that a really great and talented photographer can have, and that's why I was so glad to pull off at least one of them here. Now, the calm and the beauty and the color that I think comes across in this photo, it stands in contrast to the experience, which is why I think it's really interesting to talk about. In fact, when I did the hike to get to this location, I was about half an hour or 45 minutes late because my original location for sunrise was closed. It was private property and inaccessible. So I ran the last 20 or 30 minutes up a very steep hill to get to where I needed to be. And in fact, I remember texting a friend of mine, Nate, and he said, "Man, there's no way you're going to make it up there." And I said, I will definitely make it. And once I did, it was, of course, very rewarding, but I couldn't help but notice the wind. The wind was so strong that it almost blew me over in places. I mean, I couldn't stand up straight. The tripod was useless. I actually shot this photo handheld, if I remember correctly. And so the chaos of running up that hill and the chaos of standing there and shooting in the wind is an experience that you don't see when you're looking at this photo and you see those pastel colors in the sky and you see the light. You don't feel the wind, and I think that's a very interesting contrast, and I'll point out specifically how that contrasts to someone like Simon's photos. When I went on a workshop with him about a year or two ago now, the act of taking the photos is as calm as the photos themselves. In that woodland environment, that's totally understandable. And other photos I've taken, the mood of taking the photo and the photo itself, they often match. But in this case, they really don't. And I love that contrast as a personal experience that connects me to the image. And it's one of the reasons I think taking photos is such a great experience, because a lot of people think about photography in terms of sharing. And I do love sharing. I do love sending these photos to my friends and family, but I think one of the reasons why we do it is because we like how these photos give us that feeling. They give us that emotion of getting up from that hotel at 4:30 in the morning and hiking all the way out there to a new location, all by ourselves and being completely blown away by what happens, good or bad. And that chaos is something that I enjoy, and it's one of the reasons it keeps me traveling. Now, the second part I wanted to talk about is more broadly. That I just mentioned the experiential part, but I think the second important part is, what does this represent for how we live, how I live? And a lot of you know, a lot of my friends and family know that I travel almost full time for work. At least I did until everything got shut down, and now we're not traveling at all. And it's something that I love. It's a reason why I have the career that I have, and it really, this photo tells me that the reason why I do this job, the reason I put on this shirt and go to work and I turn on the computer, is to have a lot of these experiences. I do love what I do. I really do like consulting and all of that, but I really do it to be able to create these images. And especially back in 2019, the big motivator for me to fly 4 hours between Chicago and San Francisco every week was so that I could have these crazy 2-day weekends in Hawaii and create these images. It's something that I really love. And it's also a little strange, but also interesting to connect this to what I would call risk taking, in that I mentioned waking up to, well, not waking up too late, but being late to the location, running there. That's a risk. There's a risk you don't get the photo. In flying 5 hours for a two-day trip, there's a weekend of something going crazy with your flight and getting in trouble for work because everyone says, why did you fly to Hawaiian Island for 2 days? Meanwhile, you're needed back on the mainland United States. And I think about it in terms of, we live to take risks. Risks are what make us better people, or what give us those experiences. And without taking the risk of having the travel lifestyle that I do, and without taking that risk to go on that trip, without taking that risk to say, well, my buddy says I'm not going to make it, but I'm going to go up there anyways, I think is very powerful. And it's something for me, even as a relatively low risk tolerance person, I think about when I'm planning these trips. Yes, this is a risk. Yes, there's a chance that the flight gets canceled, or the train breaks down in Japan and none of the signs are written in English, right? But we have to do those things to be able to create these images. And that's the story of my photo. If you liked it, please let me know. And be sure to check out Simon's video again. And if you're a photographer, or maybe even not, think about this content and come up with it for yourself. I'd really like to take a look. Social media has a lot going on. A lot of people coming up with little things to do with their quarantine, but having this theme around it and this structure, I think, is a really cool thing to share with photographers all around the world of all different types and experience levels. So I encourage you to do that, and thank you very much for listening to my story. And again, stay safe, and I'm sure I'll catch you guys in the next one.